Hey, this is Josh, and I got a especially awesome video for you today. Right now, I'm doing some thumbnails for the drawing that I'm about to be working on, and if you can already tell or not, I am drawing Gandalf, the gray or the white. I don't know which one yet. So this first thumbnail, I was just, keeping it loose and trying to figure out the pose I want for my character. I didn't know if I wanted it to be a close up or far away, an action shot, or just like him standing. So I'm just trying to keep my mind really open while I'm in this phase, and I'm doing a lot of different sketches and a lot of different things. So you see, I'm not really worrying about where my lines are going. I just want to put in enough detail so I know what the picture's going to look like in my head. So for a lot of people, they can do it with a lot less detail than I do, but I get carried away most of the time. Uh, and so right now you see I've got two body shots of Gandalf and one headshot. And then right here I'm working on more of a story. I'm showing Gandalf in his carriage and Frodo on the side running up to him, like in the beginning of the movie with his fireworks in the background. I thought that'd be a lot of fun, but then I was thinking that's going to be a lot of perspective, and I don't know how to make that carriage look really cool without it being a lot of work. So then I went to the idea of doing Gandalf with in the Hobbit setting with his blue hat and having all the dwarves and having Bilbo there. So I was trying to get a little sketch of how I might make that look for a little warm up sketch, nothing too detailed. But then I decided that kind of looked boring and there was a lot of dwarves. So I moved on and I was thinking, well, maybe doing part of the fellowship, not the whole fellowship, but some of it would be really cool. And so I did this quick sketch. I've got uh, Gandalf, and I got Strider, and I've got Sam and Frodo, and then I put Smeagol over there in the background. And I really liked that, so I outlined it so I know which one to look at when I'm just taking a glance at it for reference. Um, and I, this is what I really liked, and I put as my final. So I propped it up and I'm getting a new clean sheet of piece of paper now, and I'm working with just a red colored pencil, and I start working on the figures of the characters. And so right now I'm working on the main character, the center of the photo, Gandalf. And while I'm doing this, I'm not really focusing on the details or the clothes of the character. I'm trying to get the proportions and the three-dimensional figure down on the page. Um, and that's something that I really struggle with, so I need to put a lot of time into it, and that's why I'm doing this pencil phase. And I put a lot more detail than a lot of other artists do in this phase because if I don't, then when I'm inking it, I get figures that just don't look three dimensional, that look very flat and boring. So it's important that we, as artists, draw the figure and then draw the clothes and stuff on them. So right here we got Gandalf, and then on the right beside him we got, or on the left of his side, but the character on the right is Frodo, and then we got Sam on the left, and right here's Strider. I said that weird. And I was trying to give him like kind of like a don't care about life kind of look with his hands like at his belt and stuff, like super cool. And then I came over here and I'm working on Gimli, and this was probably my favorite character to draw. I put probably the most time into this character, and I really had a lot of fun drawing him. And then I put Legolas right above him because you always have Gimli and Legolas together. Their banter is just amazing. So, got him right there. And with these, I didn't use really any reference photos. I used a little bit for the costumes and stuff because I didn't want them, I wanted them to be recognizable. So, when I was working on Legolas and Strider, I was using a reference for their costumes. And so right now, y'all don't see it, it's out of frame, but I put on a circle showing me which direction the light's hitting, and I'm trying to throw in all of those shadows on the characters real quick. Um, and now I'm inking, and when I'm doing this, I go back and forth from my pencil and my ink. So I've got where I want my characters, but I don't exactly know exactly how I want them to look. So you'll see me switch back and forth. But right here, I'm doing Legolas, and I'm using just a really simple Bic ballpoint pen, and just because they're fun. You don't really need super nice materials or pencils and stuff to draw good. So I'm just using this Bic pen because I like how they feel. They just roll across the paper real nice. Right here, I'm working on Gimli's hand, and I had a lot of fun actually doing this because I wanted it to look like a really strong hand with a glove, and I think I got that, so I was really happy about that. And then right here, when I'm working on this axe, I had to search up some references because I don't draw axes too much. So I had to look at some references, so I got that kind of metally look in it, and it actually looked like a battle axe. And I think this is why it was my favorite to draw, because he was my favorite character to draw, because it was just, I had a lot of good detail in his drawings, and I think he turned out the best. I spent the most time on him, I think. So I'm trying to mess around with different textures in this hammer. You've got the metal of the actual blade, and then I try to do like a wooden base with a leather strap down there, the hand. And then when I went back to his face, I'm erasing some of the lines because I started smudging, and I didn't like that. No one likes smudges. So I'm putting down these textures for the beard, and how I'm doing that is I'm not making long strokes. I'm just making really short and a lot of lines to allude to that hairy texture. And then with his eyes and shading of the forehead to really get that three-dimensional form. And now I'm moving to his hair, and I'm not drawing every line, but I'm drawing important ones that really get to the form of his hair. And I wanted his hair to be like a lighter color, not like a super dark one, so I left a lot of white in there. Right here, I'm working on his belt, and I was really careful with it because one thing that I heard a really good artist say was that a bad circle or a bad ellipse really takes the viewer out of a drawing. So I wanted to make sure those circles were really good. And I looked away for a minute and I wasn't drawing because I was looking for my compass so I could get those circles good. Now you see me working on Legolas, and the frame just cut because I accidentally ran out of space on my phone for recording, so I had to move some stuff and then restart the video, but I didn't notice until after I already inked some of him. So I was drawing Legolas here, and I didn't do a lot of preparation for all of these characters because you didn't see them in the thumbnail. And so Legolas looks really stiff right there. He's not very relaxed or a fluid looking figure. And that's why I did this warm up, so that when I do bigger drawings or commissions for other people, that I've already like rethought of those mistakes. So Legolas, he looks really stiff. Gandalf, I don't know what I do, but every time I draw Gandalf, his head looks way too big for his body. And so I get those mistakes out of the way so that when I draw something big, I can really take my time on it because I've already got that jitteriness out of my hand, and I can really just focus on the drawing. And for Gandalf's beard, I did the same thing that I did with Gimli's. Now I'm working on the hat, and I thought Gandalf's hat's just so much fun to draw. I love drawing hats, because you can get like these really cool folds in them and make cool shadows. And then, and how I'm doing this is I'm not actually done with Gimli quite yet, but I had to move back to Gandalf in order to finish Gimli because Gandalf's in front, and if I extended those lines too far on Gimli, then it would have gone inside of Gandalf. So you have to think of what's in front and what's in behind in your drawing in order to really be able to draw it well and not mess up. And of course, I made plenty of mistakes in this drawing. Like here, I just fixed Gandalf's hands because I forgot that when I was drawing his hat, that his staff was going to be going through it, and then I had to change his hands, so he kind of looks a little stiff too. And that's what I get for not preparing fully for this drawing. Right here, I was trying to make sure the hands look nice. I think it looks a little too big on one side, which kind of sucks because this is a cool drawing and I liked it, and so I'd like it to look really good. But it's all right. And then I always think this is a lot of fun, but working on his staff and trying to get that wood texture so it actually looks like a real wooden walking staff. I think that's just a lot of fun. And I think I did pretty good on making it actually look like wood. And right here, you see his cloak, of course, and I'm trying to get those folds and the shadows so you can really see that it's like a big cloak just folding on him and falling down. And for the most part, I think I did pretty good. I think I put in a little too many lines in his waist. But now you see me going back to Gimli, adding in his cloak and putting some ruffles into his tunic. At this point, I was trying to make a decision. Do I finish this drawing right now, or do I leave because I had something to do? And I decided to finish it because I didn't know when I'd be able to next. And so I move over here and I start on Frodo and I'm refining the sketch so I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. And what I do is originally I was going to have his hand down on his sword and then have one of his hands holding his ring. But then I decided I didn't really like how that looked. So eventually I moved both of the hands, which is totally all right because this is in a sketching phase. I'm not fully inking it right now, and it's just a warm up. So I can move it around as much as I want. And it's best that you move it around in the sketch instead of inking it and then figuring out, oh, I don't like that. So you see me, I'm drawing his cloak, and then I decide, wait a minute, I don't like that. So I move his hand up. And I did a little quick sketch for his arm so I knew the mass of it and how big it'd be. And I put his arms there in his hand. He's kind of holding them together, and he's holding that ring. And then I continue drawing him. And it was just really simple after that because I knew how I wanted it to look. And I thought Frodo and Sam in this drawing are probably my second favorite characters in here. It's probably Gimli, Frodo, and Sam. I think I did the best on them. They look not super, stiff, but kind of like they actually would look. Frodo always kind of looks a little awkward, so it worked out just fine. Gimli's over there holding his axe, and I think they turned out the best personally. But after the video, you should totally let me know who you think turned out the best. Right here, I'm just adding in a little more shadows, and then I move over to Sam, I think, next. Might be Strider. Let's find out. I go to Strider. Cool. And now he was fun because he's got that classic heroic face, the very much like he's a superhero. So I had fun drawing him. I wanted to give him like a little aftershave like he has in the movies, give him the long hair, and I just thought it was a lot of fun. I like drawing long hair. I'm not super good at it, but I always think it's fun because it's like, oh, that's cool. He's like a mountain man. I've got long hair. Rah. Um, and and for Strider, I based his suit heavily off of from the movies because I didn't want to like get a really. I didn't want him to look like Aragorn quite yet. I didn't want him to look like he was, you know, the king. I still wanted him to look like Strider, and I still wanted Gandalf to be Gandalf the Grey. By the time I was drawing this, I knew that. So I used a lot of reference for Strider, and then I go to Sam, and I always like Sam to look a little goofier than Frodo, and give him kind of a kinder look. I love putting a big backpack whenever I draw Sam because I just, I, you always, that's how you imagine him holding the backpack. You always, you know, that's just how you always see Sam. He's always holding a backpack because Gandalf pulled him out and was like, ah, I know what to do with you. And then you're like, oh no. Ah, man, I love Sam. He's such a kind guy. So right now, you see, I'm working on his shirt and his pants, and with the shirts, you gotta remember when you have a belt, you have folds come out. It's not like a flat, just like tuck in. It kind of folds out and then comes around. So you gotta make sure you illustrate that by shadows. And then right here, I'm finishing up Strider's arm, putting some shadows in, and then I'm pretty much done drawing his hand. And yeah, doing some eyes because I forgot them. And that's my drawing. And with Strider's hair, I did it differently than I did Gimli's because it's darker. So I wanted to put in those blacks. And I think it turned out well. It turned out how I liked it.